All right, boys. So the first video after the season ended, the Avs won the cup a few days ago, and it's a big trade for the Los Angeles Kings. So the Kings are picking up Kevin Fiala. I like the trade. I mean, I've talked about it a lot that a first line winger to play along Kempe and Kopitar is crucial, and you can kind of rely on the prospects a lot, but I just feel like the Kings at the state that they're in with the organization, they made the playoffs. They looked decent against the Oilers, an Oilers team that made the Western Conference Finals. It was time to go, right? Last offseason, they made some big moves. They brought Arvidsson and Danault. Those were killer moves. This move, for Kings fans, we got to hope that this is another killer move from Rob Blake. Now, the trade is the first round pick in this 2022 draft. I don't mind that. The Kings have so many prospects. It's, trading draft capital at this point in, the process of this team. Totally fine with that. The only downside is we lose Brock Faber. He is, in my opinion, a very good prospect. I was really excited to see him. You kind of have to think, was his decision to go back to Minnesota and not join the Kings organization, did that have any factor into the Kings wanting to let him go? I'm not sure, but it is kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, with Brock Faber, he's a right-handed D. The Kings kind of showed this year they have a lot of young right-handed D. It's going to be a clog in that spot anyways. Even if Brock Faber was one of the better ones, you can only have three. Drew Doughty's going to be here for quite a while still. So you really only have two spots. And with, Matt Roy, I'm pretty sure he's kind of penciled in. Sean Walker's coming back, and then you have Dursey, Spence, all those guys. So losing Brock Faber, not the end of the world. But money-wise, right? He was an RFA. That's why the Wild traded him. They couldn't afford him. The Kings can't afford him, and they signed him for just under $8 million, 7 years. That's a little bit of a worry, but he's pretty young. He's only 25 years old, so not the end of the world. The kind of advanced numbers and people who figure that stuff out don't have this as a bad contract. So it's not a Philip Deneau thing where Kings fans have to kind of talk people out of saying it's a bad contract. It doesn't look like a bad contract, but it's a pretty big contract to sign. And obviously the Kings have some guys they still need to sign, Kempe being the biggest one. So with Fiala getting $8 million, you're kind of expecting Kempe to get around Deneau money. I would say the Kings should try and get a little under the 5.5 that Deneau makes, just because, let's be honest, I mean, Deneau is a more important player than Adrian Kempe, as much as I love Adrian Kempe. But, I mean, this could really help Kempe, right? I mean, Kempe was playing with Kopitar and AI. The second half of the season, AI just wasn't a top-line player. You could argue that he's never been a top-line player, and that's a whole discussion. But at the end of the day, the Kings needed a goal scorer. Kevin Fiala, we'll look at his stats right here. This past season, point per game player. So last time the Kings had a point per game player on their team was 2018 when Kopi came third in the Hart voting. So, we're getting serious point production here. 52 assists, 33 goals. Is that going to help Kempe kind of keep up his 35 goal scoring pace? Hopefully. Is it also going to give, Kopi and Kempe another guy who can put the puck in the back of net, and not just put the puck in the back of net, but be a playmaker, right? Create plays, get open in spots that a guy like Arthur Kaliev or, Alex Iafallo wouldn't be in. That's kind of the hope. And that's something that I think Kevin Fiala, in the last couple of years, he's trending up to be that kind of, not dominant player, but a very, very good point-producing player. In the two seasons prior, when they were kind of short seasons, 54 points in 64 games, 40 points in 50 games. So he's looked pretty good. This season, he just took that big step, right? 85 points in 82 games. So, I mean, I'm happy with the trade. I don't think that they gave up too much. The only part of it that I would worry about at all is the $7.9 million for 7 years. 7 years, it's quite a commitment. But like I said, he's only 25 years old. Obviously, he has some connection with Victor Arvidsson, with them playing on the Predators together. So it'll be super interesting. I mean, this is what the Kings needed. There was talk about Philip Forsberg, another Nashville Predator. There was talk about some other guys, but the Kings found their guy. They went out, made the move. I have so much trust in Rob Blake that I feel like if Rob Blake sees this as the move that he wants, the guy that he wants to make the deal happen for, then I'm pretty excited about it. I just think points aren't everything, and the totals can change depending on the kind of system you're playing with, the line mates you're playing with, but just the fact that the Kings were able to not really spend that many assets to get a guy who put up a point per game pace this season, in my opinion, it's pretty amazing. And he has some playoff experience. Obviously, I think that's a thing that the Kings really have to start looking towards now when they're bringing in guys, is guys who have kind of been there and done that, because we know all the prospects we have, we know all the guys that we're trying to develop, but it's kind of about getting this team fully set, right? Having 4 lines that can do their job. And Kevin Fiala, he's going to be a guy that the Kings are going to put on that top line. And playing with Kopitar, playing with an Adrian Kempe, you're just hoping that he can produce at this level. If he can have a season like this, you got to think it's going to really, really help the Kings. 85 points. AI had around 40 points. So if you could picture the Kings scoring 25, 30 more goals this past season than they did, that's a much better team. And especially if they could have scored just a few more goals in the playoffs, we're talking about a real good squad now. A team that I feel like going into next season, we are a contender. We're definitely, a top 3 team in the Pacific. I think that's definitely the goal. Obviously doing it this past year, but like I mentioned in my last video, other teams are getting better. This move is a move that's going to make this Kings team better. So I'm excited. I hope to hear what you guys think about it. It's nice to be back making videos. It was a really good playoffs, actually. It's one of the first playoffs that I've really watched intently. And yeah, I'm excited. Excited for the move, excited for this off season. The draft isn't going to be as big just because I don't know if this is going to be the last move involving picks. I think that, the Kings really are trying to shift over from picks and prospects to kind of figuring out exactly what they want this team to look like. And this is a great start. Yeah, thanks guys for watching, and stick around because we're gonna have a lot of off-season videos starting up pretty soon. Wanted to just kind of take a break and enjoy the playoffs and kind of settle down a little bit. But obviously this move is starting the off-season pretty big for the Kings. So again, stay around, and thank you guys for watching.